Hi, I'm Heather Granato, the president of Women in Nutraceuticals, and I'm really excited about the release of our new white paper on gender diversity in the nutraceutical industry leadership. Why did we go into the topic of gender parity and representation? Really, it was one of the founding issues and questions that brought our group together. We looked around and thought this seems to be leadership is very male centric within the nutraceutical industry, but is that perception reality? Unsure. Until you have the data, you don't know. We decided to start from gender itself and within the leadership suite, and then look into the future. Hopefully, there's opportunity to look at how that plays out in other areas, research studies, women in science, as well as intersectionality, such as ethnic representation in our industry. Certainly there are a lot of obstacles that we see in the greater population as well as in the nutraceutical industry. This plays out from that initial broken rung on the management inability to fill that pipeline. So when you have 87 women to every 100 men who are promoted into that first step of management, we are unable to ever achieve that high level management. What we need to look at is making sure that we do have the balance so that our pipeline is full. When we talk about gender equality, the lack of family leave policies that adversely impacts women. So can we normalize leave and put policies in place that support teams, men and women? Certainly the gender of our leaders and the teams themselves. Research has shown that by creating gender balanced teams, we create prototypicality, and that creates trust in the team and in the leader. This empowers women to succeed as leaders. And certainly from the science side, when we're looking at the science pillar, those scientific research publications, to have more women as lead authors on those papers. When we look at the Women in Nutraceuticals, this gender parity white paper, we now know where we are and how that compares to other industries such as CPG and pharma. And we're right in line, 37% in senior leadership, 28% in the C-suite, and 22% on boards. Those numbers are quite similar. But is that really where we want to be? And why are we going to focus on this across the nutraceutical industry? Well, it's good business. And not just business, but it has a lot of ramifications. We're going to meet our employee demands. Employees coming into our industry are looking to be in organizations that are equitable and that are more inclusive. They seek those experiences and they want to be within companies that offer that opportunity to engage. It's going to meet stakeholder demands. Increasingly, you're hearing about ESG and financial governance. A lot of this comes down to what are you doing for the people within your organization? What are you doing for people within your supply chain? And do you have the information you need to make informed decisions? We're meeting societal demands as health and wellness becomes increasingly important to women and men around the globe. The research we do, the products we develop need to reflect that population. This means doing research studies within female populations. It means bringing men and women together at the bench to develop products because they have different perspectives. They have different ideas about how to meet health needs. And certainly, we're meeting our personal demands. We hold ourselves personally accountable for the professional development of ourselves, of our friends, of our colleagues. We're making a difference across the nutraceutical industry, and that's something that we're very committed to from health and wellness. We're thinking about success stories. So it's not just, hey, this is a good idea, but who's doing this now? Where can I get inspiration? This is something that Women in Nutraceuticals is committed to developing case studies as well as tools that support companies that are looking for a path forward. For example, we talked with Carrie. They have Illuminating, and that's a colleague-driven volunteer network that supports culture. It advances education of team members and addresses biases, those unconscious biases that may hold organizations back. They're also publicly accountable for their goals around women in leadership. They set a goal of 35% representation of women in senior leadership roles by 2025, and they're already at 37% and still going. And by 2030, they're committed to gender parity within senior management. We've also spoken recently with Aker Biomarine. They looked at their teams in 2021 and saw 43% of women on their board, 44% of women in executive management, but they're only 24% in middle management. They committed to a defined goal of filling 50% of their vacant leadership positions in 2022-23 with women. That's through external and internal recruitment. They had to go back sometimes and say, nope, we need more options. We need more women within that hiring pool. We went to women, within Aker itself and said, we think you could be a fit for this role. So within just 1 year, they now have 44% of women in middle management. This is the type of movement that can be achieved when we hold ourselves accountable, and then you see the business benefits. I've further spoken with Dr. Susan Mittmesser at Pharmavite, and she talked about the importance of gender balance in research studies. So when they've looked at companies coming in, academic researchers coming in to do research in the nutraceutical industry, a key question is, does this study population reflect the consumer base that you're targeting? If it's not a gender balanced population for a widely available product, not going to move forward. Those are the type of steps that companies can take that will make real change in the nutraceutical industry. Finally, what impact do we hope that this white paper is going to have on the industry and the conversation around gender parity? Just having the conversation and asking companies about the policy, that's an action that I would love to see. I want that conversation and companies to feel comfortable about this. When we had the survey, we had a lot of companies who didn't respond or they didn't offer comments because they said they don't think they're doing enough. We all have to start where we are, and being accountable, being empathetic, being understanding of where we are now gives us the opportunity to collaborate and move forward, understanding that gender equity benefits everyone in the industry and benefits industry growth overall. So let's work on KPIs. In 2 years, could we increase the number of women in senior leadership within the nutraceutical industry from 37% to 45%? Could we look at increasing the number of women in the C-suite up to 30%? If those are realistic ideas and companies are committed, what are the tools that companies and individuals need? And how can we, as women in nutraceuticals, work with you individually, you as a company, and our broader health and nutrition business to drive positive change?